And I will lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I will now introduce the Board of Directors. We have Jonathan Henderson, Madeline DeMatenon, Mike Rowley, Tasha Woods. I'm Jason White. And joining us, we have Superintendent Ginger Haberer, Executive Director of Student Services, Kelly Kronbauer, and Executive Director of Finance and Operation, Kim Snyder. Board, our first item is the consent agenda. We've had the opportunity to review these items individually. I would entertain a motion.
I move that we accept the consent agenda.
I second.
Thank you, Tasha. Tasha has moved for the record that we accept the consent agenda, and Jonathan has seconded. Board, is there any discussion? All right, then I'll call the vote. Jonathan?
Aye.
Mike?
Aye.
Madeline?
Aye.
Tasha?
Aye.
I also vote aye. All right, consent agenda is approved. So next up, we have administration, and first up, we have superintendent update. So Ginger. Let's see if you could bring up my slides, please.
So board, we are super excited about September 7th, starting a school with our students. And I know visiting with different families in my neighborhood, at least, students are really excited about coming back and getting to see their friends and their teachers. I had a chance to be with our new teachers today, and just the energy in the room was awesome. And so we're super excited to start school. And the other thing too, if you go to the next slide, please, Leslie. We recently had an opportunity to have 25 people go to the PLC Institute in Seattle. We had teachers and building level administration, some district leaders, and we just had a great time together and really learning about how can we really come together next year and focus on helping every student learn at high levels, as well as looking at building level cultures and how can we really ensure that every student feels valued and affirmed, and how can we continue to really work together to provide the best learning possible for students. So a lot of great energy there as well. And then Leslie, if you want to go to the next slide. I just put together some kind of a timeline of some of our major events. On the 19th, we sent information regarding our elementary school assignments, and just a thank you to our principals and our attendance zone committee and everybody who really worked hard to make that happen. And we're excited about the neighborhood schools and just the culture building that we'll be doing at every elementary. And I think we're going to have a great year. August 25th, we just received today temporary occupancy for anybody who wants to, any staff member who wants to be able to go into the building starting tomorrow. So that was super exciting. I went on that walkthrough with our person at the city who does that, as well as the commissioner, and it's looking good. There's still a lot of work to be done, but we're able to get our staff in tomorrow who want to, and that'll be exciting. August 26th is when we intend to send out information regarding classroom assignments. Some parents are asking about that, so we can continue to share that information. And then, of course, we have the rodeo parade, and Jason and I, we've walked that a couple of times, board members. I encourage you to walk that with us. It's a great time to really celebrate our school district, and really any staff member who would like to ride. We'll have our school bus and have their, especially their kids, ride in the school bus and be in the parade. Just need to let us know. We have our welcome back celebration for all staff at Morgan Middle School on the 6th. And we'll also be honoring our partnership there with our Ellensburg Police Department. And on the 7th, of course, is the first day of school, which is super exciting. And then the 30th, we plan on our celebration of the opening of Ida Nason Aronica. And that's going to be really fun. We've got the Aronica family will be there with us to help us celebrate. And I did a lot of research, and I believe that we are the first school in the state of Washington to name a school after a Native American heroine. There is a Sacagawea Elementary, but not somebody, a Native American woman who is from a local Washington Native American. So that's pretty exciting. And then October 6th is when we're looking at right now. This is tentative, but we want to really celebrate the opening of the newly remodeled Lincoln. So we're looking at doing it at that point too. So you can kind of keep those dates in mind. And that's the end of my update.
All right, thank you, Ginger. Board, any questions for Ginger? Okay. I'm happy to have other board members walk in the rodeo parade. So just saying.
I do have a question.
Okay.
Even though it's not one of my school visits, I would like to go visit Lincoln and
Oh,
see
absolutely.
the school now to
Yes.
complete.
Yes, we'll arrange a tour for you guys. Absolutely. Especially now that we can have people in the building officially.
Great, thank you so much. Next up, there was an update for Lincoln Elementary.
Yes, and I believe that Damon should be on the Zoom with us. Do you see? There he is.
Okay.
Leslie, if you can please give Damon ability to unmute. He's just going to give us a quick update on Lincoln.
Hi, Ginger. Can you hear me?
Yes, we sure can.
Okay. Can I share screen also?
Yes.
I'm still waiting for permission to share here.
Permission to
I'm
start.
logged on twice, just so everybody knows, whoever's got the controls. I apologize, but my phone is more reliable for audio, so I'm using phone for audio. Well, I could go ahead and just get started here. Let's see, I'll try one more time, see if it gave me permission. If not, I will.
Let's go to participants.
Okay.
I think he's on the phone for audio. So that's
Yeah, that's okay. I didn't have any like pictures to show or anything tonight anyway, so I'll just give a verbal update of where we are at since we last met 2 weeks ago. I'll start with Lincoln Elementary School. Over the last 2 weeks, the contractor has been working on building finishes inside and out to get the building ready for temporary certificate of occupancy. Furniture also started since the last time we met. And over the last 2 weeks, well, week and a half now, furniture has been placed in the building. It's been, there's been multiple deliveries, and that'll continue on through the end of this week as well. And then there will be a couple residual items that show up over the next few days, starting next week, just some miscellaneous items, but the bulk of it will be in the school and done by the end of this week. Also, movers started today, or excuse me, they started yesterday, I believe, and started moving teacher supplies into the building as well, placing all the boxes we can into the proper classrooms and different rooms throughout the facility. So when the teachers show up starting tomorrow, they should have the majority of their stuff inside or right outside the door of their classroom, depending on the situation of the room. So that's exciting. Also, temporary certificate occupancy, we received that this afternoon. We have it in hand. It is official. So that's a huge milestone. Teachers will be allowed in the building starting tomorrow as scheduled, and they could start putting their classrooms together and getting organized and getting ready for the school year. There is another inspection that is going to be required prior to the start of school. And it'll basically give us the next phase of the temporary certificate occupancy to allow public in the building and students and basically anybody beyond staff. So there is actually a series of inspections, and one of the major ones is the elevator certification that is going to happen. I believe it's scheduled for late next week, and that's kind of a big one. That's going to be our kind of big hurdle or milestone to get the next phase done, because elevators are kind of a unique character of their own, and they're governed by the state, and they can be kind of quirky sometimes. So we don't have any issues or reason to believe it's not going to, but we do have to go through that. And then ongoing work, we met with the contractor this morning. They did kind of give us a update of some work that will be ongoing even while teachers are moving in. They will work around teachers and things like that. A lot of it's going to be kind of in the corridor and some other areas, but there will be work ongoing up until the start of school. And then the contractor's also going to be providing us a list of anything that won't be done when school starts. And then it won't be anything that'll affect the use of the building, but there may be some minor finishes or trim work or things like that that need to be done, that they'll come in on weekends and evenings to complete, so they're not hindering school and the operation of classroom and teaching once school starts. So that is my update on Lincoln of what's going on since the last time we met. And then for Mount Stewart and Ida Nesa Ironica elementary schools, the focus has been on getting the punch list complete at those two schools. We have the 74 list or 74 item list down to 14 open items. And we are meeting with the contractor next week to get another update. And actually, I was in contact with one of the city inspectors today, midday. He already let me know that he noticed some of the items that were still open of those 14 already complete. And he and I are going to touch base this Friday, and he's going to, he and I will go through that list together and get an update as well. And I will be reporting back to Ginger next week after not only meeting with the city this Friday, but meeting with Garco as well, beginning next week. And those are my updates. It's short and sweet, but it's just the update since we met last time. And I would love to take any questions you may have.
Thank you, Damon. I do really want to thank both you and Ginger for your hard work on this. I sat in on a meeting this morning at 7 a.m. with them going with all the punch list sort of items and going through it. And there's been a lot of work all the way up to this point, and still, and I really appreciate both Damon and Ginger for your hard work to keep pushing to say we need this done. And so thank you for seeking solution. And yeah, we need this. Board, any questions for Damon? The only question I have is, because, I sat in on that meeting and so forth, and we have a lot of very important people in the room that have very important jobs. Is there any reason to believe that we will not be ready, that the teachers will not have a good space to begin at Lincoln? Based off of what you've seen?
I have no reason to believe that it won't be ready. Like I said, there may be little minor paint touch-ups or things that still need to happen, but to be a functional building and have functional classrooms, they're essentially there right now. We are literally talking about superficial items to still be installed. That should not affect the operation of the building or teaching or students in the building as well.
All right, thank you. Thank you both. All right. Next up, administration is the adoption of the budget. So we just had our public hearing. Ginger, anything further to say about that, or Kim?
We just recommend the adoption of the budget as presented.
So board, this is definitely a chance. If there are any further questions, anything that you wanted to discuss as a board about the budget, this is an action item. So I leave it to the board.
I have questions, and I want to thank Kim. I sent my questions to you earlier, and you did provide me some of the answers, but I think some of them are important to go over again, and board jump in at any point if you want to add to that. First, to thank you. We've been going over this budget at all of our all-day work meetings, which are incorrectly labeled as retreats. So I think there's a dictionary here. Let's check that out because it's not the right definition. So the work settings have been really helpful. And we've also had this binder. So I've been using that to go through and to formulate this, and I've also been looking at other districts' budgets. So Leslie, I don't know if you have the ability to bring up those slides from that PowerPoint, the slides from the public hearing, Kim's slides. If you don't have that ability, I totally get it, but I'm just going to refer to the slides because that's how I kept my notes. And so I'm going to try to go through my notes and do it. So on slide 4, it spoke about some of the focus points of the budget this year. And so the one that pops out is the 5.5% IPD. And so my question is, did Ellensburg School District receive money from the state that would fund every Ellensburg School District employee with a 5.5% IPD adjustment?
No, they don't fund every employee that we have. I do right in front of me, I have what they fund in certified. And so for basic education, for LAP, bilingual, SPED, outside of federal, just state SPED, they fund 172.5 FTE. We are budgeting 174 FTE at this time. And then, but they don't fund federal. So we have 14.1 FTE for teachers that are not, that don't necessarily increase by the 5.5%.
So that's helpful because the legislatures were very excited to come out and share with us that the inflation, which is real and we're all feeling it, that the 5.5% adjustment, it's not to all of our staff. And so we still have to find room within our budget to find that 5.5%. And so as we're going through those slides, I want to clarify and to have you correct me if I'm understanding incorrectly. I think it was slide 4 again. The state funds Ellensburg School District and maybe all school districts, is my understanding that all school districts are funded at $72,728 per teacher. But Ellensburg School District, our average that we have here is $84,670. This has been something that most of us have been advocating to our legislatures. Ellensburg is in what everyone keeps referring to as the donut hole. Once again, an inaccurate description. I think we need to describe things better. And it really took Alex Ibarra, a representative who used to serve on the Quincy School District, to sit down and really explain to me why legislatures are potentially not seeing this. OSPI has to report all staffing levels. And so when this is in front of the legislatures, they see this giant spreadsheet. And he showed me the spreadsheet. It's available at OSPI. And so it looks as though the average teacher in Washington State, the average school district, if we did that across, is well below 72,000. So to help the legislatures understand that no, in Ellensburg, you're funding us at less than 10,000 per person that we need. So that was on slide 4. Have you heard, I'm listening on the WASDA side, right? Our group for, this is a really important legislative session because it's a longer one than the one that we just had. WASDA is not reporting that we're seeing any movement on the legislatures to take up this discussion. Again, I'm wondering on your associations if you are hearing anything more optimistic.
Yeah, the only thing I'm hearing from my association and business managers is that they were thinking they were going to look at that. So that is disappointing if they're not going to. I think it's very important that they do. And it's, to me, some districts are not funded equally. And I think something needs to be done about that. I think our teachers are very important. I think our whole staff is very important. And so I think it needs to be looked at for sure.
And so board, just because we also have some new board members, and this is your first budget hearing, that is something that we can take and we should be taking to our representatives, right? And that is one of the big ones that's easier to show them with that dollar amount. Slide 4, we had a big impact because of running start. And there was a slide, I'm gonna try to bring it up again, that showed our enrollment and the impact that running start has on our district. Sorry, Leslie, I'm trying. Slide 7. So slide 4 is specific about running start and the impact it has on our budget. Does Ellensburg School District receive money for our kids who have the opportunity, our students have the opportunity to do a running start, which is great. But how does that affect our budget?
Well, technically, we do receive the money. However, it's a pass-through. So it goes, the majority of the money that we receive for students that are doing running start goes right back to wherever they're going to school, CWU or whatever university they are doing running start in. So right now we pay, depending on how many students go, but it's $800,000 to $950,000 that we have to pass through.
And we're seeing an impact up there with our enrollment trends. We can see in 2021 and 2022 that we have more students enrolling in Running Start, which is great for students and great for their families. But we do see that shift, and that does impact our budget when we see how people are making their choices for what pathway they want to do with school.
And was that all to CWU? Most of it? The pass-through, sorry. So 850.
Yeah, most of it does go to CW. They do choose to go to CW, but there are some other universities that students choose.
Sorry, I'm trying, Leslie. I understand that we have increased classified staff. I'm trying to find the slide that had that on there. I have it incorrectly labeled as slide 4.
It's number 8, if that's the one you're looking for.
Thank you. We have increased classified staff, and that is because we are opening up a brand new school. And so the school has to be staffed correctly. But what was interesting and sort of jaw-dropping is that we aren't increasing certified staff. And so that just really pointed to the fact that we were so overcrowded as a district that we had an entire school of teachers and students that could just be moved over. And the thing that we had to support was classified staff.
That is correct, but at the same time, we did have to add positions for the new elementary school because you can't, you don't usually split a principal. And so we had to add a principal there. We added a dean of students that's paid out of ESSER funds, a temporary dean of students. We added a temporary MTSS coordinator that's paid out of ESSER. So those are sort of certificated positions that had to be added, and an EL teacher that is also temporary at this time with ESSER. And then we did have to add classified, and we did, as you said, we transferred most of the teachers because that enrollment is now being spread over 4 elementaries. So the teachers were able, I shouldn't say transfer, some of them, we were able to transfer the FTE is how I would want to put that. Some applied for that and others were involuntarily transferred to IDA, but we had to add for classified employees. We did have to add a few new parapro positions. We were able to transfer some from the other elementary, non-instruct, so recess and cafeteria supervisors. We added a secretary and office assistant. And we had to add food service positions, 2 food services positions and 2 custodians. Because as you know, with the new school, you have to have those positions also.
Thank you for that clarification. Slide 11, which is primarily what caught my eye was the fund balance. The fund balance currently has a policy tied to it that requires currently that our fund balance be at 5%. On slide 11, we can see how from 2019 to the school year, I would say 22-23, that fund balance is going down. That has been targeted and intentionally done through all of the previous board work and the budget. About how many months of expenses does 5% fund balance cover?
It covers about a half a month of operating costs. So you're not even covering all your payroll, your supplies, your professional services. You're not even covering a month of that.
So when the state or other experts in budgeting, do they suggest then that we not have a full month of coverage in our fund balance, or do they have different suggestions as to how much well-functioning a school should have in it? Do they have suggestions?
You know, what I've heard, they've suggested that you have at least a 5% minimum, but what I'm seeing in other districts, and I agree with this, is that they're having a minimum of 8% or higher, because you want to be able to cover any unexpected costs that you might have. If an HVAC system goes out or something damage to something in a building, loss enrollment, as we did see, you have to have a savings that will cover that. And so a lot of districts are higher than 5%.
And when I was looking at other districts, I did see that CELA does have policy at 8%. But therefore your projection of their fund balance is a difficult scenario. Sorry, slide 22, capital funds. So capital funds, since I've my tenure on the board, have been huge expenditures because they are going out to funding these building of these schools. And so now we have a new facilities director who just started. He was kind enough to come up at the last meeting and introduce himself. Now we're sort of moving into a new aspect of ESD. We're not concentrating on the overcrowding and our school building, but as you mentioned in the previous, and we own the road between Valley View and the football field, and so that has to be resurfaced. And we haven't really been concentrating on that as a board, so now we've transferred $600,000 into there. I agree with that as a board member. I think that we do need to start transferring more money into that capital funds. And so I was thankful tonight to hear that there will be a capital committee to look at that. And Randy Aker is our new, I'm probably getting the title incorrect, facilities director. And so he came up and introduced himself last meeting, and he was saying how he's driving around and going through facilities and looking and targeting and going to help decide how we do that. But it is time that we start funding that more and moving past that bond dollar. Slide 14. Thank you, Leslie. So when I got elected to the board, you have no idea really how in-depth school districts are funded, right? And so of all the things that we sit here and grapple with, this is the most important meeting, I think. It sets the tone and tenor. It took WASDA's help, and thankfully WASDA gives us a lot of professional development on this, of looking at the five buckets that a school is funded on. And so Kim, correct me if I get this wrong at any point, because I probably still do. The only way that this school board can raise money for budget, the only thing that we have actual control over, is if we go and request a levy or a bond from our community. And so we did do that. We requested a levy, which they always tell us levy equals learning, and we requested a bond, which equals building. And those two are two different buckets, and you can't borrow from the other one. So our community has stepped up and passed a levy and passed a bond, which is remarkable because many, many communities have not done that. And so they've demonstrated with their vote and with their tax dollar about what is important to them. So if you look on slide 14, we can see the importance of the levy, because the other large funding mechanism that we have is state dollars. Usually federal doesn't affect us that much. It's sort of strange because now we have ESSER, the one-time money from federal, but usually for K-12, it's state that we're looking at. So when we're looking at targeted advocacy, it really is at the state level. And so this slide, I want to thank you for creating this slide and sharing it, because it shows up there very clearly how we become more dependent on our levy because our state dollars are going down. And so as a board, there's not a lot of power that you can solve budget issues by going out and asking our community for more money. And we made a pledge to this community to not go over $4.50 per thousand, and we haven't. And so that slide very clearly tells us that we've got to start advocating at the state more if we want to change the budget or the outlook. Now, I broke down these questions by first, what does it do a balanced budget? Because RCW says this board has to pass a balanced budget and it has to have a 4-year projection. Like, that is law. So that's the first thing that I wrestle with as a board member. And the second thing is always the student learning environment. Where is the student in this budget? And so when we're looking at this, during COVID and transitioning out of COVID, we had lots of listening sessions, and parents and students came forward and were very clear that there needed to be stronger mental health support and wraparound services. And our medical community also said the same thing to us. So in this budget with the ESSER funds, we do see a priority on this. And so I want to thank the administration for hearing that and making that a priority. And Kelly, specifically, you have come to the board and shared with us exactly in the ways that we have now funded positions since last year for mental health support for our students and wraparound services. And so with that ESSER dollars, that was one of the targeted priorities of that. And it was reassuring to see that that is a priority in our budget. Our students' mental health is being staffed and is being served. We also heard during that time concerns about HVAC systems and airflow and what do rooms look like. Ellensburg actually kind of had a silver lining in that, because in 2018 we were already talking about that and had passed a bond. And so when 2020 COVID became the headliner, we were able to go out and do that audit of HVAC systems and see what room flow airflow is in all the rooms. So this year, when we open up for school on September 7th, we have schools with modernized HVAC systems. We have schools that have temperature control. Lincoln did not have temperature control. We have schools where educators and learners are not in portables. They're in the learning community, in the schools. And that allows us to have those small classroom sizes, because that is something that we've heard over and over from our community to prioritize. So that was visible in this budget also. Thank you for doing that. And this one you probably won't be able to answer, so if you can just give me an average, or you can say I'll get back to you, that's totally fine. But what was our average elementary school population in 2018? Before COVID, before?
Right. It was what I was looking at. It was around 429 students, FTE, over the 3 elementaries.
So that means, like, before the disruption, before everyone was trying to figure everything out, we had 429 students in the building. This is on average. This is the first year that we're not going to have a major disruption like that. This is the first year for a 3rd grader to go to school and not have a disruption, the first normal, quote unquote, year for a 3rd grader. What will, on average, our elementary schools population be of students?
I think on average, I believe that it's going to be like around 320, 325 FTE students.
That's going to feel a lot different. I don't know if anyone's gone to the Valley View holiday show and we can't fit in the back and we're all trying to be in the front row, or at least convince another mom to take a picture of our child because we're in the back. That will feel different. All of those things were visible in the budget, and that's what I was looking for. And so thank you for giving this to us and going over and over again with this. I took notes on this. I looked at other schools' budgets. I went to OSPI. I called Representative Ibarra because he had been on a school board before. Thank you for answering and clarifying those notes. My final question, I swear, board, is this process, I feel, is the most important thing that we do every single year. And it always happens at this time, always in August. And we always make the budget available. This year, did we make the budget available?
We did. In July, we had to put out a budget, a preliminary budget, and I did do that, and it was available at the district office and on our website. And then in August, we put out a 2-week notice in the paper to say that we were having a public hearing. And in that public legal notice, it states that you can go to our website and get the copy of the budget if you'd like, or you can contact the business office and we could give you one physically.
And we just had the public hearing and we had 0 comments or questions on the budget. Do we know if anyone stopped by the office and requested this budget?
I know of one person who stopped by today. Other than that, I do not know of any other requests.
And I had requested if Mike would be able to tell if anyone had clicked on our link. It was really, I know it was really short notice. I apologize for that. But in the future, can we make it a policy or something that we track? Who is coming in? I'm not saying names, but how many people are coming in and getting the budget in hand and how many are clicking on the link? Because this is one of the most important budgets that happen in our community. This affects our students, it affects our staff, it affects our buildings. It is a major investment in tax dollars. And if we can't figure out a way to engage with people, then we can't have discourse on a budget that is this thick, that is pages and pages, and as cloudy as school funding is, we cannot have effective discourse on what we can do if people are not putting in and asking those questions. So in the future, next year, can we think of something on top of the steps that you outlined? Thank you. That's all I have.
I just had 2 quick questions. One is on this slide, the decrease in the state funding from 80% to 72%. That's because of loss of enrollment, correct? The state funding part?
Part of that, yes, would be, yes. Yeah, part of it.
And my other question was on slide 10. When you said that we were going to have a total increase of revenue of about 6 million, and that was because of the levy passed, but I'm assuming the December up top, that's when those funds actually would be, because I think it's like January or something like that.
That actually means decrease.
Oh,
not December. Sorry about that.
Okay, but those funds, that increase actually doesn't take place now. It takes place like starting in January.
Yeah, so this fall, we're going to still be getting the funds from the prior levy. And then starting in January of next year, we're going to receive, it starts in January of next year because the levy is on the calendar year like that. But we'll be receiving it more in April with our new levy funding.
Thank you.
Board, are there any other questions? Okay. I will remind the board that this is an action item.
I move that we adopt the 2022-2023 budget.
I second.
All right, thank you. So Jonathan has moved that we adopt the budget. Mike has seconded. Board, any discussion? All right, then I will call a vote. Jonathan? Aye. Mike? Aye. Madeline?
Aye.
Tasha?
Aye.
I also vote aye. We have adopted the budget. Yay. All right. Next up, update on negotiations. Ginger.
Yes, so I just included the PowerPoint from last time. We don't need to go through that again. We are excited to be able to go back to the table toward the end of this month. We have some dates that are set aside for that. And so we're eager to do that. And we have this PowerPoint as well as we developed a FAQ on negotiations in case our community has questions around what is a negotiation, what does mediation mean, and all of those different aspects of negotiating. We have an FAQ sheet as well. So it's on the HR website. If you click on the button that says negotiations, you'll see ESD updates and you'll see an FAQ there as well, just so that our community can be aware of that important process.
All right, thank you. Board, any questions? No?
When is your next meeting?
Pull it up.
And while you're pulling that up, because the calendars.
Yeah, it is August 31st, September 1st, and September 2nd are the next 3 times that we have on the calendar for meeting.
And then I guess that would be a clarification point that I was wondering. Those meetings have been on the calendar
Yes.
since, is it fair to say, spring?
I can't remember exactly when we set them, but yes, we met, if we look, we met April 1st, April 21st, April 29th, May 6th, May 19th, May 31st, June 7th. And then I believe at the June 7th meeting is the time when we said, when do we want to come back together? And so then we met August 3rd and 4th. And now we have August 31st, September 1st, and September 2nd. And it was after the June 7th meeting that we made the decision mutually to go to mediation.
Thank you. Knowing those dates is helpful. So thank you.
And those are listed too on the PowerPoint that's in the agenda.
Any other questions, board? Okay, then we're going to move to business. First up, we have the enrollment report.
All right, good evening, everyone. Since it is August and we're not in school, we don't have an official enrollment document for you. What I'm going to share with you, though, is just what we're seeing trending. So we budgeted for 3,142 students for this coming school year. We ended the school year right about that. And what I can tell you is with the 3,142, this is really interesting when we pulled this today. So we have choice transfer students that live outside of district that want to come in. And then we have Ellensburg students who choose to go other places, whether they're going to Kittitas or whether they're going to WAVA or one of the online programs. And so with our 3142, I can tell you as of today that 165 students have left the district and gone to another source for education, and 163 have come in. Okay, so the good news is we're right at where we budgeted, but we haven't had a flood of many new students. We're expecting it with the houses being built, and over the process, we also have a couple weeks. I'm always amazed at how many families register really late and come in the door. So this is just what we have today. Questions? I can't speak to Running Start. I can't speak to transitional bilingual counts yet until we see the whites of kids' eyes, but we're hopeful that we'll be up a little bit more than that. We were hoping to have a little bit more.
Thank you. I appreciate that update. I know, right, it's timing. We can't get any more specific.
Yeah.
Board, any questions?
Is that on par as far as the ins and outs of transferring out of district? Is that about usual, or is that more than?
No, that's pretty on track. We've even had years that has been more, we've had more departures. So this is actually lower than other years when it comes to transferring out. There's other untapped markets out there that I, students and there's a lot of homeschool families. So I think the one thing we'd like to do down the road is really look at a homeschool co-op. There's a lot of kids that are living in the area that I think would really benefit from a program like that. So, we have ways we can grow. I also believe our new buildings will bring that naturally and all that, obviously the housing. But yeah, that's pretty normal. And actually it's lower than it is from other years when it comes to transfers. Yeah.
All right, board. Thank you, Kelly. We're going to move on to the financial update for July.
I have the financial update for July 2022. Leslie, can you bring that up? It's going to be a little hard because this report, I was going to send something to Leslie, another spreadsheet, but I didn't get a chance to do that. So can you just bring up this, the report that I did send you? And maybe we'll just kind of, as I read through, we'll scroll through it a little bit. Thank you. So tonight I'll be going over the financial status of the district as of July 2022. You should have a packet in front of you that has a summary report, financial update spreadsheet, a fund balance chart, budget status report, a trial balance report, and a Kittitas County Treasurer's report. You will see that the general fund budget is on track. As of July 31st, the revenue came in at 87.71% of the budget, and expenditures came in at 83.21 without taking in considerations of encumbrances. These percentages are below the expected budget of 92%, which relates to 11 months of expenditures out of a total of 12 months for the year. The unassigned fund balance equates to approximately 11% after considering fund balance restrictions and assignments, which is the primary indicator of the district financial status right now. As I analyze the financial information for July, you will see the revenues came in over expenditures in the amount of $911,000 in July. So we actually were up in revenues, and that's really very common because OSPI does reconcile their apportionment and different things. And so a lot of times you'll see an increase in our apportionment at that time as they reconcile enrollment and different things. However, the expenditures are still outpacing the overall revenues by over $1 million for the overall year still. We have one more month of expenditures for the 21-22 school year, which will include summer maintenance projects, remaining salaries and benefits, additional professional services and supplies, curriculum, CT supplies, and equipment for the 22-23 to get the school year started. I have added, in the last few months, I've added a additional spreadsheet that shows more detailed information for the general fund. You can scroll up a little bit. See, this is what's hard because I have, it's not sorted, but this sheet right here is going to show what I have added. This spreadsheet also shows the reconciliation between the district trial balance and Kittitas County Treasurer. You have a copy of the district trial balance report and the Kittitas County Treasurer report in your packet. You will see there was a discrepancy between the district trial balance and Kittitas County Treasurer, and that is due to the timing of posting of a payroll expenditure. So there was a payroll expenditure that was processed in August, but it was posted back to July. So it's going to be posted in Kittitas County Treasurer's in August. So there'll be that discrepancy, but it'll be fixed in August, you'll see. Each month, these two reports are reconciled, and if there are any discrepancies, they are researched and fixed during our reconciling process if possible, and before the monthly financial update to the board. Sometimes this is not possible due to the complexity of the discrepancy or the timing of the reconciliation will need to be fixed after the board report or fixed naturally. Capital Projects Fund. So just scroll up to the next spreadsheet would be okay, I think. The Capital Project Fund is below the expected 92% budgeted revenue and expenditures as of July 31st. Revenue came in at 59.72% and expenditures came in around 68.07%. The fund balance is at $1.7 million that consists of state match, tech levy funds, and assigned funds to support other capital projects. As I have talked before, Mount Stewart and Ida Nason are in the closing out process and Lincoln's getting finished as we speak. We have met our state match threshold, which means that we will now receive the max amount of state funding each month based on expenses paid out from the previous month. That is how we're funding Lincoln. And then the reconciliation between the district trial balance and Kittitas County Treasurer's report found no discrepancies. The debt service fund revenues are above the expected 92% budgeted revenue, coming in at 101%. I'm not sure how that happens, with the expected being above the expected 92% at 99.07%. The majority of our expenditures were in December 2021 to pay both the principal and interest on our outstanding debt, and in June for a second payment of interest. The reconciliation between the district trial balance and Kittitas County Treasurer report found no discrepancies. The ASB fund is below the expected 83% budgeted revenues and that should be 92, sorry. Budgeted revenue and expenditures as of July 2022. Revenue came in at 40% and expenditures came in at 34.95. Remember, ASB likes to budget for capacity of any fundraiser, so they budget very high and they don't necessarily spend that budget. And that's why it's so low. The reconciliation between district trial balance and Kittitas County Treasury reports found no discrepancies. Since the private purpose trust fund is a fiduciary fund, it is not a budgeted fund. Therefore, there is not a budget status report in your packet. You will see that the fund balance is at approximately $50,000 at the end of July 2022. This fund specifically supports scholarships that come in to our students. The reconciliation between the district trial balance and Kittitas County Treasury report found no discrepancies. The transportation vehicle fund is also below the 92% budgeted revenue expenditures as of July 2022. Revenue came in at 3.31%, and that's mostly interest on the money that is in that fund. And expenditures came in at zero once again. We weren't expecting to buy any buses this year for 21-22, but we did get a deal and we did actually buy one, and you will see that expenditure on the August report. The reconciliation between the district trial balance and Kittitas County Treasurer's report did not have any discrepancies. So I just want to remind everyone that this report is presented with the information I have currently and is subject to change as we continue through the year. I would also like to remind everyone that revenue sources are used in their current funds for authorized expenditures and can't usually be transferred to be used in different funds unless authorized within the adopted budget and within the accounting laws. Are there any questions?
It looks like there are no questions. Thank you for that very informative report, and I appreciate the transparency as well. All right, board, that will take us to resolution.
Yes.
8.
So really for these next two, when the title starts with resolution, that's normally something that we don't put on a consent agenda. It's normally something we have to vote on. But in looking at these C and D are actually two things that could have been on the consent agenda, and we will make sure they're on the consent agenda the next time. So this first one is just showing you some of the contracts for some of our employees who are not part of a collective bargaining group. So we're just asking that you pass the resolution.
Thank you, Ginger. And I know, board, we've had time to look at this. So, and like Ginger said, it is an action item.
Move that we pass resolution 2822.
I second.
Tasha has moved that we pass resolution 2822, and Jonathan has seconded. Is there any discussion? All right, then I'll call the vote. Jonathan?
Aye.
Mike?
Aye.
Madeline?
Aye.
Tasha?
Aye.
I also vote aye. Resolution 2822 has been approved, passed. Next resolution.
And this is another one that is just basically a contract that we have to support our swimming and diving team. So we recommend adoption of this resolution.
I move that we adopt resolution 3822.
I second.
Jonathan has moved that we adopt resolution 3822, and Mike has seconded. Board, any discussion? Then I will call the vote. Jonathan?
Aye.
Mike?
Aye.
Madeline?
Aye.
Tasha?
Aye.
I also vote aye. Resolution approved. That leads us into policy. We have quite a bit of policy tonight. Ginger, you want to talk about the first one?
Yes, this is one that we had on first reading at our last meeting. So we're recommending adoption of policy 1400, the meeting conduct and order of business and the necessary, the need for a quorum.
I move that we adopt policy 1400.
I second.
Okay. Tasha has moved that we adopt 1400. Jonathan has seconded. For the rest of these, I am going to change the vote just for time to do all in favor. So
Yeah, and these next four
Yeah.
are policies, or five, are policies that we discussed at the previous board meeting.
Right,
So a lot of that discussion's already
right.
probably been had.
Yep. So I'm just trying to be efficient. So, okay, any discussion? All right, all those in favor with an aye?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? All right, then policy 1400 is approved or adopted. Next policy, 1420.
We recommend the adoption of that policy as well.
I move that we adopt policy 1420.
I second.
So for the record, Jonathan has moved that we adopt 1420. Mike has seconded. Board, any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? All right, policy 1420 adopted. Next policy, 6112.
And we recommend the adoption of that policy.
I move that we adopt policy 6112.
I second.
For the record, Tasha has moved that we adopt policy 6112 and Jonathan seconded. Board, any discussion? All right, all those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? All right, we have adopted policy 6112. And the last policy, 5001.
And we recommend that we adopt that one, please.
There's another one. Sorry, Ginger. Yep, there's two. Sorry, jumping too soon. Okay,
I move that we adopt policy 5001. 5001.
I'll second.
all right. For the record, Jonathan has moved that we adopt policy 5001 and Tasha has seconded. Board, any discussion? Seeing that there is not, I call the vote. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? All right, we've adopted policy 5001. Next, we have adoption of policy 5011.
And we recommend that we adopt this policy.
I move that we pass policy 5011.
I'll second.
For the record, Mike has moved that we adopt policy 5011 and Tasha has seconded. Board, any discussion? Now I'll call the vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? And policy 5011 has been approved or has been adopted. Okay, the next two are our first reading of policies. So the first one is policy 3432, emergencies.
So this is a recommended policy from WASDA, and you can, if you click on the red line, you can see some of the additions, basically taking a policy that we've had before, and I think adding some important additions to that to make sure that we have a district-wide safety plan. I did run this by Neil Musser, who is our director of safety here in Ellensburg, and he looked at this and he thought it was solid and something that we should consider adopting.
This is the first reading. Board, any discussion or questions, clarifications?
I'll just add some of what's in here is really requires a close relationship with the fire department and Ellensburg Police. And we have a real strong relationship with them. We do a lot of practice drills with them. And so when I looked at this, I think it is good because it really calls out some of the important work that we've always been doing here. And I'm just really thankful for our partnerships with them.
The markups in here, Neil Musser has presented a lot to the board on the emergency preparation. And so the markups in here seem to pertain mostly to aligning to RCWs and just kind of cleaning up that language. So my only question would have been is if Neil had had a chance to review.
Thank you, Ginger. Board, no other discussion on that? Okay. And then the last first reading of policy 4210, regulation of dangerous weapons.
And so if you click on the red line there as well, you can see some of the changes. And I ran this one by all of our principals, our administrators, in particular, our deans and assistant principals who work with a lot of the students and our principals as well, to look at it to make sure that the changes align with their beliefs and our practices. And they said that they agreed that this would be a good policy to adopt based on their feedback.
And with this policy, it does give us suggested language of things that we can take out for provisions, but if Neil and staff have had a chance to review, I'm comfortable at this point of leaving those provisions in.
Board, any other discussion or questions? Okay. All right, then we are done with policy for this evening. That'll take us to board reports. I do not have an update as chair. Okay, that will take us to public comment. So, Leslie, thank you for your help to get us set up for that. So for public comment, we will allot for up to 60 minutes as the total time allotted for public comment this evening, and each speaker will have up to 3 minutes of time. The board is not obligated to provide additional public comment time to accommodate everyone in attendance. The board is not obligated to respond to questions or challenges made during the public comment period, and the board's silence will not signal agreement nor endorsement of any speaker's remarks. In my capacity as the board president, I may terminate an individual's remarks when the allotted time has passed. I may also interrupt or terminate any speaker who is making uncivil comments. Uncivil comments include, but are not limited to, obscene comments, comments that are defamatory towards another person, a commentary that is an unwarranted invasion of privacy. The board reserves the right to have anyone removed who refuses to adhere to the rules and creates a material or substantial disruption of the meeting. Personal matters are generally private and administrative in nature. Constructive criticism can be helpful. At the same time, the board has confidence in its staff and programs and will act to protect them when unwarranted criticism or disruptive interference. Complaints or concerns received by the board or any board member will be referred to the superintendent and will not be considered or discussed by the board in this setting. I'd ask that you respect staff's privacy and consider putting any concerns you have in writing if they are pertain to a personal matter. The board can then review and forward those to an appropriate administrator. So Leslie, I'm assuming we're close. Are we set up? So now individuals in person wishing to be heard by the board need to be signed up to speak. So there is a sign up sheet. Those in Zoom need to add their names to the document in the Zoom chat box. Those in Zoom, if you're unable to do this, individuals may be recognized within Zoom by using the icon or emoji to show you're raising your hand for public comment. Once the board chair calls on an individual, they will identify themselves by stating their name and their address for the record. Individuals will proceed to make comments within the 3-minute time limit. Leslie, are we ready to open public comment? All right, I think we will start with in person.
I think this is way too tall for me. Good evening. My name is Debbie Rowden. I live at 921 Kittitas Highway, Ellensburg. I want to thank you for the opportunity to speak tonight. I am here because I want Ellensburg School District to be the very best facility it can be. And I think teachers are the #1 priority in any school district. And I know many of the people who are here tonight, and they're fabulous. The second most important thing that a school needs, though, is curriculum. And in March, I stopped by the district office and I had a conversation with Ms. Haberer about adoption of materials and what the policy says about challenges to materials. And I'm very concerned about this. So So I found out what the document number was. I looked at it. It's completely out of compliance with what we have now, since it talks about assistant superintendent and it talks about librarians. And we don't have either one of those positions. So the policy needs to reflect what we actually have in place, what we plan. So I wrote an email to the board, and on May 3rd, I got a reply from Ms. Haberer saying we are working on it. And as of a few minutes ago, when I checked board docs, nothing has been changed. Nothing's been done at all. And school starts in 10 days. And I am very concerned that we are letting things like this slip through the cracks, and it can become a big problem when it didn't have to be, if things were taken care of when they were supposed to be. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mary Gordon, 2720 Cove Road. Made notes so I wouldn't forget anything. Just a few questions. I'm curious about the ESSER funds, because you talk about the ESSER funds and the people that it's paying for. What happens? Those go away, I believe, in 2023. So once we get used to having these assistant superintendent or assistant principals at these schools, are we going to have another budget crisis? Because we're going to have to try to figure out how to work them into the budget. So that's a concern for me. I'm sorry I was late about the budget. We got stuck in, I don't know what they're doing out there on Forest or that street, but burying bodies, I don't know. But we again don't have any indication that we've had this big budget crisis, which just was used over and over again when we were talking about losing our librarians. And so this $3 million budget crisis, and I don't know, it just like went away. So I'm curious about that. As I understand it, our print shop is getting squeezed down. Those expenditures are going to the buildings, and it can only mean that we want to use less pencil and paper. And I'm just curious about the data that maybe pencil to paper is not important anymore. I don't know that data, but that's what's going to happen. So that's where we're at. I wanted just to point out again, and I pointed out before, both of the new teachers on the consent agenda tonight did not have a parent on the interview committee. So we talk about community and we talk about transparency and all of that, but those are those little things that just make you understand that as parents, the parents aren't important. So if it's not important enough to get a parent, then take that line off the form so that we don't look and see that you didn't get a parent. You talk about the budget. I get the Daily Record. It's circling the drain. I know. I'm on Facebook. I look at I know that there's a budget coming. I agree with Tasha. We can do better. We have lots of ways that we can get more information out to people. And I'm just curious, when it comes to the budget that you just approved, how much input you got from your staff. So how much input came from the people who actually have to do the work with that budget? And then when you talk about the mediation and everything in this room, it's very concerning to me because you have a bully pulpit. So you get to say your side and you get to throw out numbers, but it doesn't show that there's heart and integrity going into the process of dealing with all of these people who deal with the kids. And so just my 2 cents, it stinks.
Thank you.
Pat Stevenson, are you here? Okay, no worries. Say the name again, sorry. Connie Dunnington. Okay, so that's a no as well. Okay, we don't want to miss anyone, so, okay. Nick?
Yeah. Yeah.
Mr. Eric, yes. It took me a while to get that. Thank you, Nick.
Nick Meister, 1607 West Dry Creek Road. Thanks for you all wearing red to support us as well tonight. Let's give them a round of applause. All red. Good. I do teach in the district, but I am here with my parent hat. I have two daughters that are going to be going into second grade and kindergarten just down the road at Mount Stewart Elementary. Every month, there is a new character trait, and one of those character traits is respect. And I was highly disappointed 2 weeks ago when the respect of the norms between the bargaining committees was broken when Ms. Haberer shared those numbers. So I just want to say, as a parent, I'm teaching my daughter. These wonderful teachers are teaching their students about respect, about integrity, about caring, about all these things. And from the teacher of teachers, we need to have that from on top. Thank you.
Thank you.
Charlie Atchison, 3330 River Bottom Road, Ellensburg. It's all right. I won't take too long. First of all, thanks so much, Tasha, for digging into that budget. It seems that you dug down and had some really great questions. You made me feel a little guilty, though, because I didn't go get my own personal copy. So hopefully we can remedy that and maybe get them to everyone. We don't want to ask the print shop, though, because I think they're overloaded. So I'm just here really to represent the folks you see. You know, I was here a couple of weeks ago and I spoke just out of the blue, and I'm back. So I guess where I'm going with this is I really love teaching in this district, and I've been here a dozen years. I teach history, social studies, and one of the big things I teach about is this concept of empire. And believe it or not, we you know, the United States of America is an imperial power, and it really came true today when I was taking a hike near Franklin Falls on Snoqualmie Pass, and this beautiful falls was just mesmerizing, and superimposed upon this, actually not superimposed, but in the background is the I-90 bridge, and it's just massive. And I thought, I was talking to my girls who both go to school here, 7th grader in Morgan, and they soon to be 4th grader. We just found out going to Valley View anyway. I was like, girls, look at this. Isn't it amazing the amount of work and thought and energy and money and, you know, I don't know, everything that went into this. And, you know, they didn't quite acknowledge it or see it quite like I did. But in the end, I guess where I'm going with this is there's this large superstructure holding us up. And you talked about the numbers that are coming from the state and the numbers that are coming from the community. And it's all a big puzzle, and putting it together is complicated. I really get that. But what I'd would like to say is essentially that starting the school year off with 3 days, August 31st, September 1st and 2nd of more negotiation, it's an uneasy feeling. You know, empires rise, empires fall, decline, decay, and it's a whole host of reasons. You know, you, I'm sure, are well aware of the Star Wars series, and you know the bad guys are the empire, but you know in the end I think on some level we're part of the empire too, because we're living within this superstructure, and we don't really want to be rebels breaking it down. We just want it to function, okay? And I guess my point is that as part of the EA and the teacher community that I'm proud to be associated with, can we please work through the mediation sooner than later? We really don't need a rocky start to year with uncertainty, and that trickles into just the morale of the staff. And we want this year to be an exceptional year because it's our first real year back. No masks, no mandates. Let's make it a great one, and let's get those negotiations taken care of timely, quickly, because it's coming up. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Kelly Moore, and my address is 2215 North Spar Lane. I'm a first grade teacher at Mount Stewart. This is going to be my 15th year of teaching, and I've been a member of EEA for 13 years. I also served as a paraprofessional for 4 years prior to that at Morgan Middle School. I love my job, and I'm so proud to be part of this community serving as an educator. My husband and I have lived in Ellensburg for 30 plus years total and have raised 4 children here. 3 of them have graduated from EHS, and our youngest is in 8th grade at Morgan. Our 2 oldest daughters have both graduated from top universities and are pursuing their careers. I'm so thankful to the teachers in our district from elementary through high school that took time to mentor and prepare them for their future. I am proud to be a member of EEA, making a daily impact on students academically and emotionally. Our EEA is truly a strong, united team working together to best serve our students and their families. I know I can rely on my colleagues to help and support me at any time regarding students' needs. I know that for sure at Mount Stewart, the staff and faculty are a family working together for the success of every student. The past couple of years have been difficult for all of us for many reasons. COVID has made teaching challenging, from teaching virtual to hybrid to full-time with masks. I know I would not have made it through virtual teaching without the support of my EEA members within my building, AKA Shayla, and across the district. However, this last year was the hardest year of teaching since the beginning of my career. The workload expected of me and my colleagues, combined with the time constraints placed on us, made it extremely difficult to feel as though as I was on top of everything I needed to be. It would keep me up at night thinking of all the things I needed to get done for a particular student to better serve them, but feeling like I didn't have the time to get them done or done well. I would often spend weekend afternoons planning in my classroom. Our EEA is strong, and we only have one goal: to serve students and families of our community with the best education possible. I care about each student that comes to my room. I also have always done whatever the district has asked of me, and I will always try to complete tasks, comply with mandates, implement curriculum, carry out interventions for students, connect with families and community, and whatever else it takes to make the most impact on the students in my care. I'm confident that every other EEA member back here behind me and those that couldn't be here feel the same, because I work alongside them every day. Summer has been a time for me to recharge my batteries, and I'm looking forward to a new year and new students. The last few years have been very unpredictable, especially at the beginning of the school year. This year seems like an opportunity to begin the year with less drama, and I would like to be able to completely focus on my classroom, my students, planning and preparing. I would encourage the district team to make finding a solution and settling our contract fairly with EEA a priority, so we can begin this year on time and with excitement. It truly is the best for our students, staff, and community, which isn't that what we're all here for. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Okay, so those of you on Zoom, we just want to double check. We don't have anyone that's signed up. If you are on Zoom, this is now your moment. If you haven't signed up, we just need you to make sure that you use the emoji or to raise your hand, and we'll give you just a few seconds to do that as this last chance. We don't want to miss anyone that wanted to give public comment. All right, Leslie, I'm not seeing anyone. So, okay. All right, then public comment is now closed. So next up on our is new business, and we have one thing: proposed items for future consideration. Ginger doesn't have anything. Board? No.
I will say that we had a chance to look at district-wide data at our administrator retreat on Monday, and our principals will be coming to the board in September to share about achievement data and some things they're thinking about and they're excited about for this year. And that'll happen at the September meetings.
I'd like to, at a future meeting, have a conversation about the scheduling and how we came to that, and our limited resources, and how, as far as school times and due to the shortages and stuff. I just think having a conversation about that would be good, especially for the public, because there's been a lot of scheduling changes. So and how that came about.
Do you have any clarification on that?
So just revisiting those things that we've shared before, but just in case there's questions that are still out there.
Exactly, especially with the new times and the beginning of the year. So.
Board, anything else? Okay. Is there an executive session? There is an executive session. Okay. And Ginger, how long do you think that will take?
Let's go for 20 minutes.
20 minutes? Okay. And what is the executive session for?
Regarding personnel.
Personnel? Yeah, okay. It's regarding personnel. All right. So we are going to adjourn for 20 minutes, which will bring us back at 7:43. Leslie. So we are now going to adjourn to executive session. Thank you. All right, it's 7:43 and the board is back. We are at the meeting closing. We just came out of executive session. Next up, we have board calendar. Anything for board calendar?
Yes. When will the 2022-2023 board calendar be posted? Okay. I'm sure, but I don't see it on the school district website. And I'm just concerned about September, so I just want to make you guys aware again that I'm out of town the 8th through the 21st, unavailable for Zoom.
Provide you with one of those portable hotspots so you can zoom in from on vacation.
I have the European plugins, but 3 a.m. just doesn't work.
Could be interesting for us though.
No, we respect that.
Yeah.
Totally. Thank you, Mike. Anything else for board calendar?
I guess I don't know how far our calendar went as far as who's doing the agenda setting. Is that something that needs to get pushed out more? Because
Leslie, where were you at with that? You were scheduling that, the board calendar, the agenda setting and having people signed up for that. Do we still need to work on that? Okay, we'll get that done this week.
And just to clarify, that's listed, the Google Calendar is where that really is set to kind of do that. Because I know when I was on the other end, that's what I had to really do to confirm. So I just want to make sure, Leslie, that we're on the same page. Cool. Thank you. Great questions. Anything else for board calendar? Is there any clarification in next steps? No? All right, I know we have things to sign, Leslie. So sorry, we can't leave yet. All right, and so now we're up to adjournment. So I just need
I move that we adjourn.
I'll second.
All right, so Mike moved that we adjourn, and Tasha seconded for the record. We are now adjourned.